This is Undaunted.Life, a man's podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Thompson. Let's get into it. Clint Walker, welcome to the studio.
Bro, this is so amazing, man.
You're like the most excitable person in the world. You're like an excited puppy.
Or an Energizer bunny, whatever you want.
Well, I will say my mom doesn't know you, but my wife, she was sad that she missed you today because she's met you before, and she's just like, he's just got this warmth about him. And I'm just like, yeah, that's true. And then she said some other things that I won't share with you. But you do have a reputation that precedes you. But you know why I invited you here to this hallowed table, this forging table made from Sornex?
No. Why?
Well, because you are, in the history of the Dominion program, you're the only Okie representative of the Dominion program. So guys from Oklahoma, I mean, we got a bunch of busters from Texas. We got dudes from in the middle of nowhere, Illinois and Pennsylvania. And then we got some Florida. We got some California, believe it or not. We got Alaska. One Okie in the program. Undaunted.Life // whatever, Dominion. Go there, especially if you're an Okie. I will give you extra consideration. But you're the only Okie representative.
I don't understand why. We need to get some more men involved in this.
Well, I think that's partially your job, right? Because I live here, but I just basically stay here in the studio. No one really knows that I'm around until I go out in public. It's been really weird. I've been getting stopped in public lately. I got stopped in the park the other day with my kids. Hey, are you Kyle with Undaunted? So it's getting a little weird. So we need that to kind of tamp down just a hair. But to kind of go all the way back a little bit, you and I have known each other for a while, but then, with Dominion's team 4 and 5, you expressed direct interest in being a part of the program. And so, but we had known each other. And so that kind of became your application. And then we just kind of went through with the program. But I guess just to start, basically, how did you because I can't remember, how did you find Undaunted Life? How did you find our content, the podcast, whatever?
About 6 years ago, I really started following Jesus. That's when I really, really started following. I was doing some Bible devotionals on the Bible app with a bunch of guys that I didn't know from across the country. And I'd say 3 years ago, 4, somewhere when you and I first linked up, I did a Bible devotional of how to build a godly, manly foxhole.
Yeah.
And being a Marine, I went, ooh, this is going to be cool because I understand a foxhole. And so I did the 7-day plan with some guys that I didn't even know, and I got on fire. And as a matter of fact, on day 6, I got slapped in the face because day 7, you said that we need to build a local godly, manly foxhole.
Right.
And so I did the 21-day plan by myself, and then I started going and watching some of your podcasts, and I went to episode 3 or 4, and what happened is I resonated with you because at church, nothing wrong with truth, nothing wrong with grace. But I seemed that I was getting more grace and not quite understanding why we don't talk about this Jesus that we have that is a man's man.
Yeah.
And so I resonated with that. So I watched some of your podcasts, and then I hit a couple of my buddies up that are local. And I said, hey, man, you got to watch this dude. And after we started watching, that's when I email something I don't do. Like if you send me an email, you better text me and let me know I got an email. And it said, you said that if you want me to come and speak at an event, send me an email. So I sent an email, and this is how we met. I sent an email, working on the pool deck, trying to get this done. I think this was 3 years ago, maybe 4 3 or 4 years ago. And I was working on the pool deck, had a bunch of guys, and my phone rings. And since, you have your own small business, I answer every phone call. I don't care if it's the IRS because they may need a vacuum truck. You know what I'm saying? They may need it, or at least know somebody. And it said, I answered the phone. He goes, this is Kyle. I said, Kyle who? And you go, Kyle Thompson. And I said, this is one of my buddies jagging with me.
I guess that's how we met.
That's exactly how we met, bro.
And then what I remember is you're like, hey, I'd like to get you out to Eufaula to
Yes.
talk to my guys. So Eufaula, Oklahoma. Now, the only reason I know where Eufaula is, so the only reason I don't know where any small town in Oklahoma is usually tornado season. I like watching the news because I find out like, oh, there's a Goaty Bow, Oklahoma. Oh, there's a Pink, Oklahoma. There's a St. Louis, Oklahoma. Okay. And so, but every year I go to Eufaula once a year in the summer, and we've done this since college. So our college group, well, you know, all of us and our girlfriends would all go to this same lake house.
Right.
And then we ended up marrying all those girls. And then
Right
now
on.
we've all got families and we go to the same lake house and all that
Right.
type of stuff. And so, you know, the weekends look a little different than they did when we were in college. We spent a whole lot more time on the water and, you know, all that. Now it's just like, all right, how much relaxation can we squeeze in with a house full of kids? And so you're like, okay, come out to Eufaula. And then I'm like, yeah. And so we work out the details. And then the day, I think it was the day before.
It was
Okay.
the day. I wanted to see if you were who you said you were, bro.
That's right. Right. So this is the story that, you know, it's going to go to some of the things that I talk about on the show all the time. Okay. You go, hey, and this is what is it? June, July? When is it? Okay. So it's middle summer in Oklahoma.
It's not the time. Yeah.
And you go, hey, do you want to do the Murph tomorrow? And in my head, I'm like, well, no, of course not. Like I do that once a year. I do it in May. Like, no, there's under no circumstances would I want to do that again. And so obviously I answered yes, like, yeah, I'll do that. But then I didn't really even think to ask, like, oh, okay, I just assumed we were going to be, you know, in a, you know, a CrossFit box or in somebody's garage or something like that.
No.
But then the day of, so I drive out to Eufaula, and then, you know, the morning of, you're like, all right, here's the pin where we're meeting. And I'm like, I think I'm about to get kidnapped. I have no idea what's about to happen, but what are we doing? This is a park. Like, there's only one way in, one way out of this place. Like,
That's
this
right.
seems like a
That's
disaster.
right.
So we get out there. And I'm like, what are we going to be doing? Pull-ups on a tree, which I've done before I got my home gym here. I was doing pull-ups on my neighbor's tree. But you come out there and you've got these pull-up bars that are in like
hitches.
in the receiver hitches of the truck.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And you're like, hey, I got one for your truck as well. And so we just booped that thing in there.
That's right.
And there was, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 of us out there or something like that. And we're doing it early in the morning, so it wasn't like too crazy hot. But it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, if I just say you should be Murph ready every day of the year, you shouldn't, you know, train for it and then do it on one day and then have that as your goal, but then have no standard to be able to do that year round. That's the moment. And I mean, I guess whenever I'm coming out there, you didn't really know if I was serious. You didn't really know if I was like about it in that way, right?
What I want to do is, if you're going to follow someone, you know, I want to make sure they're leading from the front. That's how I feel about it. Not saying that leaders aren't good leaders that lead from behind.
Sure.
But
there's theoretical leaders and then there's guys.
That's
that just
exactly
do it.
right. And you do lead from the front. You mean business about spiritual, mental, and physical resilience. And I admire that. And I'm grateful for that. And when you stepped up and you did that, Murph, of course, I hate to admit it, but you did.
Yeah, who finished first out of that group?
I don't know. Did you do it 10, 20, 30, or did you do 100, 200, 300? I can't remember exactly how.
But there was somebody that got across at the end before everybody else.
That's Ginger. I think there was a Ginger there. Yeah.
He was slightly sunburned by the time he was done. But I will say this, because you're how old now?
56.
Okay. At the time, you would have been 53-ish or whatever.
Yep.
And so when you're doing the Murph, and there were some young guys there,
right.
you know, that were, you know, in shape enough, but maybe not Murph shape or whatever. I was blown away by how good you were doing, right? Because the Murph is awful. It is awful. And I started doing it in my 20s, and it's been awful every year. Like, that's kind of the point, is to endure. It's a resilience workout, right? But then I'm looking at you and I'm like, who is this dude? Right? Like, you're sitting there doing pull-ups going, oorah, oorah, like on every rep or whatever. And I'm like, this Marine, because there's no such thing as a former Marine.
That's right.
But this retired Marine is like a psychopath. And so, because you weren't that far behind me. Because I think on that last mile, like, we passed each other on the last mile.
Right, we did.
And so if like on my best times, I think my best time was like 37 minutes or something like that.
That's rolling out right there.
But like, if I was in like that, but that's like all the things kind of come together, all your training, you peak at the right moment. Like, that's not normal. Like, I'm normally in the 40s, but you know, but this last year, I don't know if I told you, I was like at 40 minutes and 45 seconds or something. And so I've just been like, all year since the Murph this year, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was a minute from being back in the 30s. Like, what the heck? And, but it was really impressive to see you out there doing all that. But the other thing that was impressive was just seeing how people interacted with you.
Yes,
right.
Sir.
And so it kind of reminded me, like, now looking back, when Team 1 came to Oklahoma, Dominion Team 1 came to Oklahoma,
Right.
their expectations versus what they saw were completely different. And I mean that in a good way, because what they were expecting, because I told them like, hey, we're going to train some jujitsu. We're going to, we're going to break bread. We're going to hang out with some of my buddies. You're going to get to know some of my foxhole guys. We did a, whiskey tasting that you met a lot of my guys at, and, those types of things. And what they were expecting was a bunch of Kyles, right? So Kyle and a bunch of guys exactly like Kyle, the same level of intensity, the same level of abrasiveness, the same level of, in shapeness or, biblical acumen or whatever their expectations were. But then they got there and they're like, well, no, like Kyle wasn't the center of every room, which is what they were expecting.
Right.
Because when we went to jujitsu, I defaulted to my first jujitsu coach, Rush Schwedman, right? Who started Fight Club, who started our like Sunday Night Foxhole 10 years before I found it, right? Now I was a brown belt at the time, but it's like, no, I'm going to default to my purple belt buddy, who was my first, my first coach. So defaulted to him. And then that night we're hanging out at my buddy's shop. So it wasn't hanging out at my house or at my shop, right? It was his shop. And then there was a food truck there. It wasn't my food truck. It was Eric Browning's food truck with his ministry, Sand to Stone, that does, rites of passage stuff for young men. And those young men are like making dinner for all these guys, including my foxhole guys. Well, in the room, there's guys that are in my foxhole, guys that I trained jujitsu with, guys that are just, in my Sunday school. These are guys that maybe all of them don't really work out that hard. A lot of them never tried jujitsu before. They got soft hands. They like to golf. And they're thinking like, wait a minute, like this is the stuff that Kyle
There's
rails
average
against.
guys doing this?
Right. But the point is not, hey, everyone do exactly what I do at the same speed and same intensity, or you're not a godly man. It's like, no. Godly men come in all shapes and sizes and forms. But the guys that are a little soft, I'm always needling them a little bit. I was like, hey, you played quite a bit of golf this week. If someone tried to come and steal your golf clubs from you, what would you do aside from call the police to defend you? Like, what would you do? And they know I'm half joking and they know I'm half serious. And they also know that they're pretty soft. And if something were to go down, they're not really equipped for it. And the guys that are a little out of shape, Ryan Horn, the Horn, has been talked about before. Right. We're sitting on his back porch one night and I'm just like, bro, you're getting fat. Like he was at about 260 something pounds, 5'8", like
been there,
sloppy.
Been there. I've been there.
Yeah. And it's just like, bro, you're getting fat. Like, you got 3 kids. Like if you keep going like this, you're not going to see them get married. What's wrong with you? And people are like, oh, that's so abrasive. That's so offensive. It's like, no, that's exactly what he needed to hear. Then he started kicking it into high gear with his diet and getting his exercise stuff under control. He's down like 40 pounds now and like that kind of thing. But you had a similar thing going on and you follow with your guys to where it's like, you may be the guy organizing, sending out the group texts or whatever, but you're just the guy that's trying to challenge the rest of the guys around you. It's like, where did that come from? Especially if you've only been really fervently following Christ for, 5-6 years.
It's got to be from Christ. That's the only thing I can say. I've got friends of mine, my foxhole, my tight foxhole. I got some foxhole buddies, and they're very similar to what you are just talking about. We're all of different shapes and sizes. One of my best buddies is 6'5". He's huge. He's a monster of a man, and he's taking jujitsu.
There's a distinct advantage for those guys.
And he was my training partner this morning. I got to tell you something. That's a monster of a man. But we all get together. So one of the things that we decided to do as a team, as a foxhole, and I had a friend of mine ask me to do a Monday night Zoom call. We do a Zoom where it's a 20-minute devotional for just men. It's just 20 minutes, and one dude leads the Devo leader. We follow acronyms, SOAP, Scripture, Observation, Application, Prayer. I came up with that from YouTube. And also being a Marine, I like acronyms. I can remember things a lot easier that way. So the Devo leader gives a scripture, gives their observation, their first application, and whoever's in the group can give an application how they can apply that scripture this week. 20 minutes. Then we pray it out. We pick the next Devo leader. That's one of the things that we implemented after you came and spoke with us. That is one of the things we've implemented. And that's been going great for us. We'll have 3 guys. We'll have 20 guys. They're from all over. But that's how we try to coordinate God together with men.
When I think it's been good to see different groups around the country picking up elements of what I'm saying on the show.
Right.
Because if you do that devotional, because dude, I don't know how long ago I wrote that thing. It was a long time ago. So people ask me like, hey, on day 3, you said this. I'm like, bro, I have no idea.
No idea.
It's like when people ask me about something I said on episode 16 of this podcast. It's like, bro, we're in the 800s. Like, I have no idea what I said 2 weeks ago. Like, so like, you're going to have to give me a little bit more context. But guys are picking up elements of the foxhole concept and they're just making it work there. But here's one of the reasons why we even started Dominion is some guys just need a push.
Right.
Like they do. So
We
they
do.
know they're stuck in neutral or they know they're stuck in the mud or whatever. They know they need a foxhole and they know that they're capable of figuring it out. Like, but they need something or someone to be like, hey, this is what you need to do. Right. Okay. Equipment to push back darkness. Great. It's easy to say. It's quick, quick and easy to remember. But what does that practically mean for you? Individual John Doe in Whereversville, Tennessee. Okay, what about pushing back darkness in your life, in your household, in your congregation, in your place of business, in your city, right? Because that's how things get fixed. They don't get fixed top down. They get fixed from individual men up, right? That's kind of the model. And so that's why we create this Dominion program to be like, okay, let's put guys through an intensive discipleship program with other men that have very, very similar, if not the exact same desires in their communities. Let's all grow together for a period of time to be equipped to be able to do that job. And then as I've talked about and alluded to before, we have a program, the ongoing, forever program is it's called Watchmen. But when you talk about the watchman on the wall as described in Isaiah, or even if you just think of any, the Crusades or, any of the ancient battles, the watchmen on the walls were equipped to do that job. They were trained to do that job.
Right.
And their job was very important. If they did it poorly, everyone behind them could die.
That's exactly
right. So how do we equip men to become those watchmen? The first step is the Dominion program, right? And so that's why we require so much of people to be a part of it, because people are like, why do I have to put in an application? Why can't I sign up? I was like, well, I don't know, because it's not Netflix, right? It's not just some monthly thing that you can opt in or opt out of that's real cheap and you just, treat it cheaply. It's that app you paid for that's on your phone that you don't open, right? You get a new phone and you realize, oh, I haven't even opened this thing, right? And so that's why we just treated Dominion quite a bit differently as we were looking for people to be a part of it. But I'm curious for you, what was it about the program that you knew of? Because teams 1, 2, and 3 had already happened. I had openly talked about on the show a handful of times. You'd gotten the emails or all that. But when it came time to where you're like, no, I think that I need this, even though you're already doing some of the things that we teach, what was it for you that made you think like, okay, I'm not just like interested in this, like I want to do it?
For me, the guys have asked me, we all have much room for improvement in our lives as men.
Amen. All of us.
Every single one of us. No, I don't care who you are, how long you've been following God, where you've been. We all have room for improvement in our lives. And I do believe that I was doing a pretty good job with our foxhole, but I know and knew that you have something going on with the Dominion that I wanted to be a part of to learn and see how we together, all of us men, can help push back this darkness, this legit darkness, because I see it a lot in a lot of guys that I get to visit with, that men don't want to talk to other men, or they're afraid to talk to other. They're afraid to have a foxhole, and it's
going to require something of them.
Yeah, the Dominion team, you have to invest something in this. You have to put time in this. You have to work at this. This is not an easy task. I don't know how much I can say about it, but talking to the guys on an initial basis, visiting, that was a very awkward moment for a lot of men. All the men there, no one wants to make initial contact. Of course, I'm not afraid to call and talk to anybody. I don't care who it is to ask. But we as men want to build a foxhole. We'll do the Devo. We'll listen to your podcast. But will we step up and step out? And sometimes we won't step up and step out.
Yeah. I mean, because it requires something of you. And what I tell people, Dominion people included, I'm like, hey guys, when you do this program, when you say, yes, I'm in, like, don't be shocked if things start going wrong in your marriage. Don't be shocked if you start having issues with kids. Don't be shocked if you start having bills pop up, medical issues. Like, I'm just going through the Rolodex, Clint, of the stuff that has happened to the guys in teams 1 through 5.
So you mean to tell me life actually happens? Things really go down? You know, this is not all rainbows and unicorns?
Yeah. And we can't, obviously I can't divulge all the things that I've heard and the things that have happened, but everything that I just listed and way more has happened to men in this group. To which, any, marketing person out there listening to this are like, well, don't mention that. Don't mention that.
Don't sign up. Don't sign up.
No. Like, that's not a reason not to sign up. And this is why. Because I tell people all the time, what I do with Undaunted.Life, I'm at the tip of the spear.
You are.
Okay? So I'm out front. Now, I've got my shield and I've got my offensive weapons as well, but the flaming darts of the enemy are coming straight at me, right? And the other people like me at the tip of the spear. Now, if I'm out there, I might catch some of those flaming arrows with my shield, but if some of them miss me, they're going to hit the people next to me that are most important. Right. They're going to hit my wife. They're going to hit my kids. They're going to hit my foxhole. They're going to hit my forging table brothers. They're going to hit Dominion guys. It's just the nature of the beast. Because when you're on your butt on the couch doing nothing, right, just wasting away, amoebaing your way through life, Satan's not worried about you. You're completely ineffectual to the fight, right? Right? So just think about it like in a military context, like you're not too terribly worried about the force that isn't charging you, right? But then if you've got people charging at you, okay, we got to take care of these people. We have to create some sort of an offensive threat to kind of get these guys to back off a little bit. And the moment you say, yes, I'm going to do this, Satan and his minions are like, oh, shoot, we got to start messing with this guy, right? And it's not always going to be super overt. It might be very subtle. Like some of the guys are like, man, I started dealing with this. And I'm just like, and you're surprised? And then it's like something like clicks in their brain.
It's happening right now with some of the guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Some of the guys are actually happens. But Jesus is not making our life easier. He makes our lives better. And when we surround ourselves, when I've surrounded myself around like-minded men, when I have that issue, no matter what it is, no matter what arrow I'm taking, if I share it with them, which that's being bold as a man to want to share it, they can start praying for you. I had a buddy of mine earlier this week, and I hit my Dominion Team 5 guys up. And I said, I need you to take a knee right now. I got a friend of mine that's in a bind, and he needs your prayer. And you know what? I know all of those team members got down.
That's right. Why? There's nothing that's requiring that of them.
No, not at all.
This could be just another group text, right?
That's exactly right.
And here's the thing, Clint. If it were just a, $20 a month app program or like a, $500 one-time weekend course or something like that, then that's probably the response you're going to get. Oh man, prayer emoji, like, something like that. But there's something psychological, which is why, and again, I had to be convinced of this by some other people that were like, Kyle, you've got to take this to the next step. Like there's got to be things like these guys are wanting it, like give it to them. But there's a reason why, and you alluded to it a little bit earlier, there's a significant requirement of time investment.
That's exactly right.
Of effort investment and personal capital. Right? This is a multi-$1,000 investment in the guy you told me in your application that you wanted to be, right? And there's a psychological, shift or like something that changes in a man's brain when they look another man in the eye and say, I guarantee you, I will give you the time. I guarantee you, I will put in the effort and here's the money. And people are like, well, shouldn't it be free? Well, I'm sorry. People don't value things that are free. We don't. And I tell this story all the time, but it bears repeating. When I was in college, I was part of this group that would try to get people to come to the University Center on Fridays to watch these movies. And they were great movies. Like they were movies that were just in theaters, but we're showing them in the big hall. And when we said, hey, free movie night, we'd have 5 or 6 students show up, like in a hall that said a few hundred, right? But we started selling tickets for $1 a piece. It was full, completely full. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, when people paid $1 for something psychologically happened to them where they're like, oh, if I don't follow through with this, not only am I going back on my word, I'm losing that $1. I might as well put it on the table in front of me and set it on fire. That's the exact same thing that we're doing with Dominion is like, if you're not going to put in the time, the effort, and the capital, okay, well, number one, you're not serious about the change you said you wanted. And number two, Dominion's just not for you. So what?
It might not be.
Right.
The thing is that if you, And I heard Chad say this just a little.
Chad Fryer,
oh my goodness,
he's the man.
That dude is a stud. He was talking about the barbed wire deal.
Yeah,
right. And
the fences he deals with.
If someone is in question about Dominion, I strongly encourage them to do it because it will help them not only understand how the foxhole that you have developed and the leadership that you're developing, the discipleship that we're getting in right now, it can branch them out. I've already seen it happen with some of the Dominion Team 5 guys right now.
I wish we could tell all the stories for those guys, but they're just not quite our stories to tell. But, and it's fun too when I get to meet some of the wives of the Dominion guys.
Right.
And they get to just look at me and tell me like to my face. And, you guys will hear from a wife during this batch of episodes or whatever, the stuff that they notice because they have no need to lie to me because they have no need to talk to me. So if they're seeking me out or seeking others out or telling the public, here's what I've seen in my man, right? This man that I've been with for decades. And then all of a sudden he signs up with this program with his favorite podcaster. It sounds preposterous, right? Hey, honey, I want to do this program. It's 6 months long. It costs quite a bit of money. It's, it's a tremendous investment of my time and my effort over the 6-month period. Oh, and it was pitched to me by my favorite podcaster. It's not a great pitch, right? I'll tell you right from the jump. It's not a great pitch, but man, praise God that these women are just like, okay, because I'll tell a story that I'll be very vague about because it's not my story to tell. But there was a wife who her husband was just a feckless jellyfish. He was just, a little bit fat, a lot of bit passive, wasn't the head of the household, defaulted to her a lot. And she didn't really like that. She wasn't one of those Jezebelian women that really liked that. She didn't really like that. She didn't want to be defaulted to. She wanted to be led and cared for. Kids didn't really respect him, right? It just wasn't. He didn't have the influence that he could have. He had a lot of potential, but he had gotten lazy and fat and comfortable, right? He had bought into this American Western Christian thing where it's like, all right, I'm going to work a good job. I'm going to make a good living. Once a year, I'll focus on the family vacation that we spend a bunch of money on. And then, I'll just kind of like do what it takes to get by the rest of the time. For whatever reason, he finds this show. He hears me talk about Dominion. He says, oh, that's interesting. Then he puts in an application, gets a little bit more serious. Then he does an interview with me. It's like, oh, it's on now. And then I just lay it out there. There's no sales pitch. It's just like, here's the program. Like, your application seemed good. You don't seem like an axe murderer. Like, here's the program. What questions do you have? And then it's like, all right, you don't get a long time to make a decision. Like, yes, you need to talk to your wife. Yes, you need to pray about it. But you don't get 2-3 weeks to make a call. Like, we need to know like soon, like whether you're in or out. And it was like a light bulb went off on this dude. And so, yeah, he's, signs up, he's part of the program. He gets put on a team, he's in the team, he's interacting with the team, all that's going good. But then I meet his wife down the line because I see the change in him, but I didn't know the him that was him before he put in the application.
Right.
And she's just like, you can't even imagine what the immediate impact was whenever he said, I'm going to join this program, because I tell people all the time, like, I'm not doing these things for you. So if you haven't been leading your wife, like, I'm not doing that, you are, right? If you haven't been working out, like, I'm not doing that, you are. If you haven't been studying the Bible, like, I'm not doing that, you are. You're the one digging into the word. And I see kind of the same thing with you, but for you, your sword was already sharp, and Dominion is just a way for you to make it sharper and more effective, and to make you more effective at wielding it. For some guys, they got to find their sword. And it's like, this program isn't helping you find your sword. You go find your sword. It's probably beat up and rusted and not sharp at all. And this program's going to get it ready to go. And so that's the guy that's kind of going from zero to getting in the game. But I'm curious for you, Clint. I mean, we're winding to a close here. You were already in the game, right? Why, it could have just been good enough, because there are guys out there listening to this thinking about Dominion. They're like, well, I kind of already got a men's group. And, there's a men's ministry at my church that does something, once a quarter. And, it's good. It's good enough. But like, for you, it wasn't. And, so when you expressed interest in this program, it's not that I was surprised, because you're just that kind of guy, but why not be good with good enough?
Clint needs to push himself. And I knew that this program could help push me to a different level. And the different level is that Clint, wants to be better at representing Jesus as a man. The cool thing is that this has led, and I can't speak for the first few teams, but I can speak for our team. And this has helped our team, and I would almost say the rest, and to make significant changes, or want to continue to have significant changes with a standard.
Yep.
With a standard that we can help push back the darkness of the future.
Well, I think you're a standard bearer for that and representing Jesus, and you're incredibly bold. I mean, you're wearing your Jesus in Jiu-Jitsu shirt. Look at your camera right there. Look at that, Jesus in Jiu-Jitsu. But that does remind me, as we wind to a close here,
we go.
Clint.
Here we go.
I just, these things come up in my brain. And so you said, hey, Kyle, I want to train some Jiu-Jitsu with you. I just got going. I think you've been training for about 6 months. I was like, yeah, sure. Come down to the forge anytime, like blah, blah, blah. And so I tell you when I train, and I was like, yeah, I'll be up at the forge Tuesday at 6. And so I get a text from you at like 4 a.m. And you're like, I'm on my way. I'll be there, by 6. And I'm like, oh man, this doof thought I'm at the 6 a.m. class. I'm at the 6 p.m. class.
Oh no, early in
what
the
is
morning,
he
bro.
doing?
Early morning.
And Eufaula is not close to Edmond.
No.
Right? I mean, was it 2.5 hours?
Nope.
Right?
A little over there.
So yeah, you woke up really early to get there. And I'm like, oh shoot. So I'm scrambling because I don't normally do the 6 a.m. class. I get my crap and I get up there. And of course, you're just like a happy puppy. You're there in the parking lot before anybody else and you're ready to go. You go in there. And so the way that the morning class is structured is different than most jiu-jitsu classes, because most jiu-jitsu classes are some kind of warm-up. There's some sort of instruction, move of the day, and then there's rounds, right? So 2, 3, however many rounds at the end of practice. Well, the morning class does that opposite. They roll when they first get there, right? And so typically guys' first round is just kind of like let's feel it out, let's warm up, let's get things moving. But I mean, it'll be 4, 5, sometimes 6-minute rounds, like at the beginning of the day.
Rounds.
Then we get into the curriculum, and then people got to roll. I think the reason they do that is because some guys got to get out early because I got to go shower, get to work, get to the job site, whatever. And so it's like, if you want to miss something, like, all right, get the rounds in, but maybe miss a little bit of instruction. Okay, some of the details. And so the thing is, though, leading up to this morning, you told me, you guaranteed me that you were going to take me down.
Oh yeah, bet a quarter on it.
Right, you bet a quarter on it.
Quarter on it.
Brand new, beautiful, lovely.
You got
quarter.
it handy?
Right. It's somewhere close by. So you bet me this quarter, and I thought you were joking. But then you just kept talking about it, kept talking about it. But it was kind-hearted and, all in fun. And then we get to the day of, and it's just kind of like, all right, it's not about the quarter. It's about, am I going to let this white belt, right? Like this 50-something-year-old, former Marine. How about that white belt take me down, right? And because I think I was purple belt at the time. And so, do you want to describe what happened during our round?
Yeah, let's see.
Can you recall?
No, I can recall because there's been a couple of times in my life, and that was the second time in my life that I said, I will never be in this spot again. The first time I was, I think I was around 11 or 12 wrestling.
Okay.
But the second time I was 50 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is you put me in a gi. I haven't been training gi, no gi. So I had to wear this gi.
It was a gi class.
It's a gi class. It's a gi class. So I don't quite understand the gi. Well, I know I reached my arm around and grabbed the back of your belt just like I thought I would, and you put a wizard on me. And I thought, right on. I got this. I'm going to bop down to a double. I got him. This time I find this has been 20 minutes of just getting beat up, literally beat up. The next thing I know, all I see is the ground. And my feet, what I'm told, was sticking straight up in the air. You did an uchamata on me and flipped my feet and my head. I don't even know if my body was capable of doing that until that day.
Yeah. So the thing is you were pretty good. There were a couple of times where I had to defend because I guess where you grew up, if your opponent's knee touched the ground, that's a takedown. So you like claimed you got to take down, but we're not even close.
I got one in. I flopped you down, and I go, all right, bro, does that count? And you go, you didn't hold me down for 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's hold down for 3 seconds.
Oh, 3 seconds.
You never even controlled me.
No, I didn't have no control.
My knee hit the ground, and I popped right back up, sprawled, and got after it and smiled at you. But yeah, so when you got that grip, I knew you thought it was going to be a good grip, but if I stay there, you can double leg me pretty easy.
That's what my plan was.
And there's not a whole lot of thing I can do to defend. And so I just immediately went for the throw. And here's the funniest thing about the throw.
Oh my goodness.
So Luke, Professor Luke, he's great. He was on the mat. Believe it or not, so full circle moment, Professor Luke started with Russ Schwetman's Fight Club group. That was his first exposure to jiu-jitsu, as far as I understand it. Now he's a, second degree black belt or something like that. Competes bad to the bone.
Yeah.
He just started going and hanging out with some dudes on Sunday nights that put a couple of mats out. Hey, let's talk about Wild at Heart chapter, and then let's roll around a little bit and see if we can figure this stuff out. Now he's like a legit black belt professor, right? So I throw you. We land on the mat super hard.
Oh, wow.
You immediately start laughing at the top of your lungs and you say, oh, that was awesome. And Luke is dying. He is dying laughing because it was a nice throw. And so it's going to be one of those, moments, but he didn't even have time to react that way because he was just dying laughing at your reaction because you had such a good attitude about it, which again, in jiu-jitsu, if you come in with a bunch of ego, holy Moses.
No, you're done.
Well, because you get thrown like that, and then you could make excuses like, oh, well, I wasn't really ready, and we shouldn't be doing that in the morning class anyway, and that's never going to happen again. It's like, man, come on, just take your licks. We've all been thrown. Like, we've been thrown bad. I've been thrown on camera in front of people, right? And it gets put on the internet and like all the different things. Like, dude, it just happened. So I wanted to commend your humility, but not so much your jiu-jitsu. But speaking of which, where are you at in your jiu-jitsu journey right now? In your mid-50s?
So a short story, if you don't mind.
Let's go.
So you came in and to talk to us, and our jiu-jitsu coach, Stephen Ertl in Eufaula. My boys were taking it, and they kept telling me to come. And, God will answer your prayer. He will answer your prayer.
Yeah.
Might not be on what we think or our timing, but I prayed, and I said, God, if you bring Stephen to your event, I will start jiu-jitsu. I walked around the corner, and there my coach is, standing there.
There you go. I didn't know that.
And I said, sir, I need some private lessons before you put me out in the wild. So I took about 4 or 5 private lessons from him, and then it's been on since. So I'm still a white belt. I love being a white belt. Being a white belt is so cool. I don't care if I ever get another belt. I get to train 2 or 3 times a week. I got to train this morning. My buddy met me down there. We've been in outage, so I haven't had a lot of time to train because of all the work that we've been doing here currently. But I absolutely love jiu-jitsu. I love getting to roll with guys that are way better than me, in which that's everybody. I think I heard the comment the other day, you either hammer, the nail, or now the board. And I think sometimes I'm the board. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, we've all been the board. There are those times where all of us leave jiu-jitsu, we get in the car, no podcast, no music, and we just sit there driving going, How did I let this happen to myself? I thought I was better than this. And dude, it still happens at Brown Belt. I'll have classes where I'm like, have you done jujitsu before, dude? Like that was pathetic. Well, before we wrap up, you're talking to a captive audience. Obviously we're talking mainly about the Dominion program.
Right.
There are people right now, there are men right now that are on the fence about applying, right? Some guys have applied, and then we basically send them a video being like, hey, are you sure? Like, here's some of the things to expect. Yep. Do not take one of these interview slots because as of right now, I'm only doing interviews the first 4 days of December. And then that's going to be the crop of people that are going to get offers to teams 6 and beyond. And so before December is up, certainly before the end of the year, all the teams are going to be set for January through June of next year. So what is your message to guys that are either on the fence about applying, on the fence about actually, getting real and doing the interview, or they've done the interview, they've gotten all the detail, and they're just like, whatever, they're getting the whispers, they're getting the whatever, maybe getting a little bit of, pushback from the wife or pushback from somewhere. What's your message to those guys?
Here's what I say, man. Step up and step out. Send the application in. At least watch the video. If you are thinking about seriously doing it, the financial investment is going to be a big payout for future. I'm telling you right now. I don't know how. Just say, look, do it. You can have question after question after question. It's not going to hurt one thing to turn the application in. It's not going to hurt one thing, not one thing, to do the interview. It's not going to hurt if you can get on the Dominion program, because you're going to be able to take what we have learned back to your communities. I've seen it. I've witnessed it already within our group of changes being made, big changes being made.
As you're saying that, it reminded me of Brad from Team One. He told me this, and I was like, man, I should have thought of that. But he's like, dude, I can always make more money. But I couldn't imagine letting an opportunity like that go, right? And this was Team One. Dominion wasn't technically fully figured and fully formed yet, right? I was figuring it out kind of as we go, and that's kind of the joke with the Team One guys is like, I told y'all in the interview, y'all are going to be the guinea pigs because I didn't have it fully formulated yet.
Right.
And he was literally, making a sacrifice to do this. And when you ask him today, he's like, yeah, I made that money back and some, and where I'm at now versus where I was then, you just can't imagine anything different. But Clint, you're a powerhouse. You're an absolute tremendous source of support and positivity. It's just awesome to be able to call you a friend and a Dominion brother and soon to be watchman. So we'll talk soon, man.
Thanks, bro.